Bible school, or, well, you know, sin, whatever your heart convicts you of, and whatever you get that, your conscience, I guess we'll call it, the whole feeling. But I say, but no, that sounds good. But if we only wait on my heart to convict me, we know that it might be some differences on what sin likes. Oh, okay. Sin might be premarital sex to them, but to us it might be, oh, that's fine. Everybody does it now. You know, like today in society, gay marriage is the thing to do now. Yeah. But now we understand that, no, that ain't the most highest work.
Yeah.
So I told him, I say in 1 John, he told us that sin was simple. It was transgression of the law. I say, well, Lord, look how plain you can be to me sometime. And I'll be searching for things. And he told me, he said, well, it's transgression of the law. And I'm like, well, Lord, he told us in 1 John also, he tells us, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. I'm like, Lord have mercy. Now, once again, then he told us, you know, we should walk as Jesus walked. So then it got me on my real search of, well, how did Jesus walk? Well, Jesus was a Jew. So he was from the tribe of Judah. So I went to doing research. Well, how did Jews walk? How did they conduct themselves? Mm-hmm. And this is what I found, because like you say, when everybody tells you the laws are done away with, I find it funny that Jesus, he kept feast days, he kept Pentecost.
All kept the feast days.
All kept feast days.
After Christ had died and been ascended into heaven, he still was keeping Passover when what was it at in Acts? I can't remember where it was exactly, but he told them, look, I gotta go. Yeah, I'm not gonna miss the Passover. Yeah.
So if Paul, the disciples, well, the Spirit fell on them at Pentecost, right? So if this was going on after the Messiah had come, died, and risen, so it's not done away with, obviously. That's how I found it. I'm like, it's not done away with. They did it. So where do we get off not doing it? Where do we get off not preaching it?
When did forever stop being forever?
Yeah, like when did we just, and this is what I told them a long time ago, I figured out Christianity to be a cookie cutter religion. If it fits me, I can do it. Hold up, I cannot kill. Okay. Like, whoa, God, don't keep the Sabbath.
We ain't gonna keep no dietary law.
I can't keep the Sabbath.
We gonna take that tithing law from the Old Testament. Yeah. We need that.
Yeah, we gonna keep the tithe coming.
We gonna take that.
Don't worry about your diet. Don't worry about keeping the Sabbath holy. You can buy, sell, work on the Sabbath. And I told him, I said, if I think back to the old days, I remember when my great aunt who raised us born 1904. Which, in her understanding, the Sabbath was Sunday. You know, we all know they switched the days on us. But that woman didn't believe in getting up on no Sunday, cooking and preparing no food. That was done the day before. And we look at it as being petty, but then this how the Lord talks to me. He said, no, I'm teaching you preparedness. See, if you prepared for the Sabbath, you ain't got to get ready for the Sabbath. And I told him, I said, look at how this would change this world if everyone who believed on the Most High and His Son would just keep the Sabbath on just one day, say, look, we ain't buying nothing. Man, you would almost break this economy up. Just one day. Nobody brought gas. Nobody brought food. They would start to understand it. Look, these people got some power going on here. They are really doing. But like I say, the devil just came in so sly on us. He told us what Jesus told you. Everything that entered your mouth was clean. I said, well, whoa, they were talking about bread. Bread was never up for discussion when Jesus told them not what enters the mouth defiles you. They were talking about bread and washing hands. That's exactly what that conversation was about. But then they told us that we went to Acts, and they tried. I had this one guy come over with a list for me. A list of he can eat what he want to eat. I say, well, cool. I say, if nothing else, I like to eat healthy now. You know, I told him, I say, so that's what I tell people not to put a stumbling block in front of my brother. Right. When they ask me why I don't eat a certain thing, I say, just a little health reason, you know. Yeah. And I'll tell them, I say, but now if you want the truth, I'll tell you. And most people will be like,
they don't want to hear.
No, I'll just stick with that. Like my dad actually told us, like, don't show me.
I don't want to know.
He's like, don't show me in the Bible. I'm like, but no, I can go right into the Bible.
Why you think he told you that?
Because he knows.
He don't want to be held accountable. Like he's only accountable for what he knows.
He don't want to be held accountable. But I told him, when you get up there, he told us, I didn't know it's not going to be an answer that's going to be.
Right.
You know, so I tell him, I say, yes, when I run.
But I tell people, I believe personally, as far as that part of the law goes, I don't believe that it is a heaven or hell issue. I don't believe you'll go to hell for eating pork. No, that's what you want to do.
Not at all.
Because it tells us, is it? When they're talking about washing hands or whatever, he tells them, whoever teaches men to keep these commandments will be considered great in the kingdom. And those that teach men to break the least of these commandments will be considered least. So that lets me know that you are still in the kingdom. You are, but there are levels in that kingdom. So I believe our rewards and our crowns, they do come from keeping that law. And that is going to be, because I mean, if you're going to rule and reign, it's obvious that there has to be you got to be ruling over someone or something. So there has to be a distinction. And I believe the level that we work to keep the law and the commandments that God has given us here will be the level that we get rewarded to in the future. That's how I take
You
it.
say it's almost to the point now where I tell people we do it like this. We'll say, all right, now if you go believe God's laws, then you don't follow
Yeah,
Jesus.
you don't believe in Jesus.
Now if I follow Jesus, then I ain't got to worry about God's laws. So I told him, what happens when I truly believe both? And that's where I'm at.
And I believe that's when we'll start to see that.
That's where and that's so when people ask me, are you a Christian? I say, well, I would guess so. But I say, look, Christians are really teaching and preaching this the way I'm starting to see this now. So I told them I'm a follower of the Most High who believes in his son, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And I also believe that I'm supposed to keep his law, statutes, commandments. Now, some of the sacrifices we understand. I can't go and make sacrifices to the temple. The temple's not here. So that's some things we just God gives us common sense to know. Some things were for the Levite priest only. You know, so I understand that all things, you know, there were separations. Some things were for women.
Some things were for men. Some laws only apply to children. So I mean,
so like I understand. So I told him, I say it's not really. And once I went to looking through them, I'm like, Lord, this ain't really hard for me not to sleep with a woman on a cycle. I mean, I'm like, why would God even have to tell us these things?
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing that he has, but you know, he understands. But he understands. Yeah,
he understands the heart of
Some
men.
people are nasty.
And the heart of men.
You know,
wicked.
she's being cleaned out by her cycle.
Yeah.
And if he going into it and he could be putting some germs
Come on,
and
well, we know blood is so serious. Anyway,
Yes.
the Most High blood
Okay.
is. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
there you go. Like I say, we can't play with blood all kind of ways. Like I tell people.
So what is being emphasized is the fact that from your research in the Bible, you feel that the Mosaic law
it's still applicable today. It still applies.
and it intertwines with the Christian law.
Well, see, that's
Well,
my
what is
problem.
the Christian law? And that's my question.
Yeah.
Like, what is the Christian law?
Because Jesus told us that.
I only believe in one, like you said, one doctrine. Christ came with the doctrine of the Father.
That's what he
which
told
we
us,
find. He said, forsake me not my law. Like you said, that's what's that? Psalms, I believe. No, Proverbs. Proverbs. Like I said, I give you good doctrine. Forsake ye not my law, or Torah, whichever word you prefer. You know, that is the
So
only
that's
doctrine.
that's
the
what
doctrine.
Christ brought. So, and then we can, if that's what he preached, his fathers, he told his mom at 12 about my father's business. So, you know, he understood what he was doing. Like, you know, from a jit, he understood. Like, this is business I'm headed to do. So if he told them that he came with no new doctrine, but the doctrine of his father, and we can go to the Old Testament and Proverbs and find that he said, I give you good doctrine, forsake not my Torah. And then Jesus, we've already read that he said, not one letter of the law will pass away until heaven and earth pass away. And I'm looking and I'm like, okay, well, if it was good in the beginning, and it's going to be good at the end, so us in the middle, where did we get off saying, you know what, we good. You know, God, he's a gracious God. But like they say, shall we continue in sin and grace abound? Like we can't just keep, and this is what I tell people now, this is how I understand it. And we've seen it in the New Testament. I don't have to perform all of these laws before I'm saved. And that's what they are arguing about in Galatians, I believe it was. The circumcision and the uncircumcision. Like, no, they ain't got it. They ain't circumcised.
They came into the kingdom.
But we understand now that no. Once again, God said, I'm gonna write this on your heart, and I'm gonna start circumcising your heart on my level though. Like God said, he might be working with me on sexual immorality. It might be something with pornography on you. It may be gluttony with you. But who's to say, we can't just say, all right, this week we dealing with sexual immortality. Everybody get clean. No, that ain't how God doing it now.
no.
And that's why I tell people, God is working on us individually, and that's thank God for the comforter he left. That he puts it in us to convict us now. So I truly, yes, sir.
If they can roll now.
I'm sorry, y'all. I love this though.
It's okay.
I love this, y'all.
It's okay.
I can talk about this forever.
I was thinking about the Bible book of Galatians.
Yes, sir.
And Paul made some very profound
Yes.
statements in that particular book, but particularly chapter 4.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And, if you would, let's look at maybe about the first 5 verses of that.
Okay. Galatians 4:1. Let me write it down first. All right. Now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, does not differ at all from a slave, though he is a master of all. but is under guardians and stewards until the time appointed by the Father. Even so we, when we were children, were in bondage under the elements of the world. But when the fullness of the time had come, God sent forth his Son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law. Okay, I got you, though. That we might receive the adoption as sons. And because you are sons, God has sent forth the Spirit of his Son into your hearts, crying out, Abba, Father. Therefore you are no longer a slave, but a son, and if a son, then an heir of God through Christ. But then indeed, when you did not know God, you served those which by nature are not God's. But now, after you have known God, or rather are known by God, how is it that you turn again to the weak and beggarly elements, to which you desire again to be in bondage? You observe days and months and seasons and years. I am afraid for you, lest I have labored for you in vain. Brethren, I urge you to become like me, for I became like you. You have not injured me at all. You know you know that because of physical infirmity, I preached the gospel to you at the first. And my trial, which was in my flesh, you did not despise or reject, but you received me as an angel of God, even as Christ Jesus. What then was the blessing you enjoyed? For I bear you witness that, if possible, you would have plucked out your own eyes and given them to me. Have I therefore become your enemy? Because I tell you the truth. They zealously court you, but for no good. Yes, they want to exclude you, that you may be zealous for them. But it is good to be zealous in good things, always, and not only when I am present with you. Yes, man. Okay. I like this. Definitely. My little children, for whom I labor in birth again until Christ is formed in you, I would like to be present with you now, to change my tone, for I have doubts about you. And here we gets 21. Tell me, you who desire to be under the law, do not hear the law. For it is written that Abraham had two sons, the one by a bondwoman, the other by a free woman. But he who was of the bondwoman was born according to the flesh, and he of the free woman through promise. Which things are symbolic? For these are the two covenants, the one from Mount Sinai, which give birth to bondage, which is Hagar. For this Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, and corresponds to Jerusalem, which now is and is in bondage with her children. But the Jerusalem above is free, which is the mother of us all. For it is written, rejoice, O barren, you who do not bear. Break forth and shout, you who are not in labor, for the desolate has many more children than she who has a husband. Now we, brethren, as Isaac was, are children of promise. But as he who was born according to the flesh then persecuted him who was born according to the Spirit, even so it is now. Nevertheless, what does the scripture say? Cast out the bondwoman and her son, for the son of the bondwoman shall not be heir with the son of the free woman. So then, brethren, we are not children of the bondwoman, but of the free. That's Galatians 4.
Okay. So, it's a number of things that Paul said there, but one of them in 4 and 5 kind of indicated that the law would be separate from the Christian faith. And of course, when it mentioned there as well, you notice it mentioned that it compares Hagar with Mount Sinai and Jerusalem. Well, who was that?
That was his servant that he went into when he tried his wife and them. They tried.
But that was Paul was talking about natural Israel.
And I believe that would be the Gentiles. I believe the descendants of Hagar. Like I said, Ishmael and his people would be. Those would be other Gentiles as well, because I believe they actually end up being
a great nation. You said they would be.
Yeah, those are your Arabs that you see over there today in Palestine. Those are the descendants, of Ishmael. Because like I said, they are warring people. They definitely are.
But now you notice that there's a separation.
Oh yes.
There is another Sinai that is mentioned, and it is a heavenly one. Okay. So there it makes a separation between the worldly or the earthly Israel as compared to the Israel of God.
Which is a difference. Like he told us in Revelation, I know those who claim to be Jews in the synagogue of Satan. So we know it's some differences out there, definitely, though. We got some false ones going.
Yeah.
Definitely so. So I agree there's separation. But that's what I tell people all the time. God is he differentiates between people, though that they don't like to tell people that. Like you told them, Jacob I love, Esau I hated, but they would never preach